Hello, everyone. This is Ricky Caudell from the Plain Truth Podcast. Uh, I'd like to talk to you today about uh, the talking heads that are the sports analysts that are. I think they're insane. I really think most of them are absolutely and completely insane. The things they say and then contradict themselves. Like, all right, so let's. Joe Burrow's not an elite quarterback because he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's why he's not an elite quarterback. Because he probably wouldn't be any good at all without Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback, even though he's got two of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the best offensive lines, one of the best defenses. He's elite, even though he's got those. But Joe Burrow's not because he has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Lamar Jackson's better than Joe Burrow. He's had more playoff appearances and he has 2 MVPs. Joe Burrow is not elite because he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. What would Lamar Jackson be if he had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? What would Joe Burrow be if he had Lamar Jackson's team behind him? What would Joe Burrow be if he had Derrick Henry as his running back? What would Joe Burrow be if he had a great defense? What would he be? What would he be if he had that? What if that was available to Joe Burrow? Lamar Jackson's elite because he doesn't have top 10 wide receivers, top 20 wide receivers, however you want to put it. Even though the rest of his team is, and everybody will tell you this, one of the best, most solid rosters in the NFL this year. That don't matter. Lamar Jackson's still elite, but Joe Burrow's not because he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. How's that make sense? How's that make sense? Josh Allen's elite. Josh Allen's elite. What would he be if he had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? I don't know. What would Joe Burrow be if he had Josh Allen's running back, Josh Allen's offensive line, and Josh Allen's defense? What would Joe Burrow be if he had two awesome tight ends like Josh Allen does? What would Joe Burrow do with that? What would he do with that? These analysts are killing me. They're killing me, man. They're so two-faced. Their double standard is sickening. It's sickening, man. I'm not. We can't. We have to stop. We have to stop. Joe Burrow had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. Yet he still completed over 70% of his passes. He still threw for 4,900 yards. He still passed for 43 touchdowns and ran for 2. Joe Burrow had one of the worst defenses a good quarterback could ever have, and he still won 9 games with them. Joe Burrow broke NFL records. You have to stay up long enough to get the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and that offensive line wasn't doing anything to help him do that. He did that all on his own. Joe Burrow's the quarterback for one of the most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL. Can you say that about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts? Can you? No, you can't. You can't. So stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Y'all are foolish. That's foolish. This is a ridiculous way to look at it. The GMs, the coaches, and the scouts of the NFL said that Joe Burrow is the third best quarterback in the NFL. It's their jobs. They make money off of making these judgments. Don't you think maybe we ought to trust them? Maybe a little bit, little tiny bit. Joe Burrow wasn't the MVP. Everybody knows Joe Burrow was supposed to be the MVP last year. And if he'd have managed to get the Bengals into the Playoffs, he would have been the MVP last year. But he didn't get into the playoffs because Denver was lucky enough to play the Kansas City Chiefs when they weren't playing any of their starters. Why? Well, they had already locked up their number one seed, and they wanted to rest everybody so they'd be ready for the playoffs. And honestly, I can say that because of that, they probably made the Super Bowl when they shouldn't have. So it was a smart decision, but it still kept Cincinnati out and let Denver in. And Denver was what? Crushed, severely beaten in their playoff game. You can't say Joe Burrow's not elite because he's got two of the best receivers in the NFL. Yet say these other guys are elite just because they don't have two. Jalen Hurts does. Jalen Hurts has two of the best receivers in the NFL. He's also got one of the best running backs. He's also got one of the best offensive lines, and he's got one of the best defenses all around. He's also in one of the best organizations in the NFL. You can say Patrick Mahomes, one of the best organizations in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the best defenses in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. A well-run organization, man. Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he ain't got Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. And he'd probably be pretty good with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He may even be great. But put him behind Joe Burrow's offensive line, he'd be running for his life every single down. Every single down. He would not be the quarterback he is today if he had to play behind an offensive line like Joe Burrow does. I don't think any of them would be. It's a ridiculous statement, and it needs to stop. Who are you people trying to convince? We watch Joe Burrow play. All the fans in the NFL watch Joe Burrow play. They see it, game after game that he's in. The only bad game he had last year was against the Philadelphia Eagles. All the other games he was in, he could have won. If he'd have had just an extra second behind that porous offensive line. If his defense would have just stopped somebody. Please, stop somebody. Stop something. Stop the pass every now and again. Stop the run every now and again. Stop something. Stop special teams every now and again. Stop giving up field goals. Stop something. Be a defense every now and again. If Joe Burrow's defense would have been 13th to 17th, 18th, they'd have made the playoffs. Nobody who saw last season would say different. Stop this comparison. Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback. And he's earned the accolades he's got. And he was lucky enough to be with a great organization when he did them. Josh Allen is a great quarterback, and he's earned the accolades he's got. And he's lucky enough to have been drafted by a great organization when he did that. Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback, and he deserves everything he has. And he was lucky enough to be with a great organization when he did it. Jalen Hurts, is an elite quarterback. And he deserves everything he has. And he was lucky enough to get drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles when he earned it. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback. And he's in probably one of the worst situations you could be in as a quarterback. The only situation I think that could be worse than the Bengals is the Cleveland Browns. What more do you want from this man? I'm not saying cut him a break. He doesn't cut himself breaks. But stop ignoring what you're seeing to make foolish statements. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Man, it's ridiculous. I need you to stop. Or lose your jobs. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But the things that you were saying are just beyond understanding to me personally as a football fan. Well, I love football. I know a lot of NFL history because I love football. I mean, please stop. Stop it with this. Stop it. Stop it with this. Right? Joe Burrow is the only AFC quarterback to go to the Super Bowl, except for Tom Brady, since Patrick Mahomes has been in the NFL. Right? Let me think. Pat's been in 5 Super Bowls. He's won 2 in a row. He's won 3 altogether. Right? He lost to Tom Brady when he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he lost to Jalen Hurts when they played the Philadelphia Eagles. Right? So in the last 5 years, 2019, the only other AFC quarterback that's been in the NFL is Joe Burrow, besides Patrick Mahomes. Did he get lucky? Maybe. Was he sacked the most a quarterback has ever been sacked in the NFL? 70 times? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Did he still get him to the Super Bowl? Yeah, he sure did. Did he do it with a mediocre defense? Yeah, he sure did. He did. These are things you cannot take away from him. You can't. The Cincinnati Bengals, if they give this man an offensive line and just a half decent defense, a top 15 defense, Joe Burrow would probably, and this is going to be a ridiculous statement because I'm trying to match the idiocy of these talking heads on TV. Give to Joe Burrow a top 15 offense and a top 15 offensive line, he'd be in the Super Bowl every year of his career, except for the years he was hurt. He only got hurt that first year because of how bad his offensive line was. And come on. He was getting the bleep knocked out of him the year he hurt his wrist. Let's be honest. He's missed 2 years because of how horrible his offensive line is. Let's be honest, man. I don't know. I'm not taking away from anybody that's on that top 10 quarterback list. I'm not taking anything away from any of them. They all deserve to be there because if they didn't deserve to be there, they wouldn't be there. I'm not smarter than the GMs, the coaches, and the scouts for the NFL. I'm just not. It's their job. This is how they make their money. And I know the analysts, they get money for making stupid statements. Like Chris Canty saying that Joe Burrow was only a good quarterback. You can't get stupider. You can't get more ridiculous. You just can't. You know, Unk, when he was with First State, didn't like Joe Burrow. Thought he was getting too much credit. Oh, what has he done? What has he done? What has he done? No MVPs, no Super Bowl championships. What has he done? He's only been to the playoffs 2 out of his 5 years. Well, he was hurt 2 out of those 5 years. And last year was just absolutely insane. A lot of these guys are saying some pretty ridiculous stuff about Joe Burrow. And I think they're only doing it to get views, to get ratings, to offend people. The shock radio, like shock TV, right? Shock TV. Oh, I'm shocked because this man said something that's so blatantly stupid. Come on, man. Give Joe Burrow Andy Reid. Please. Give Joe Burrow Andy Reid. Give Joe Burrow a top 15 offensive line. Or a top 15 defense. Either one. You better not give him both, because if you give him both, it's over. I'm telling you, if you give Joe Burrow a top 15 offensive line and a top 15 defense, it's over. He's going to the Super Bowl for the rest of his career, for as long as they can maintain it. But you can guarantee one thing, that it's going to happen in Joe Burrow's career because he's with the Bengals. It's not going to happen with these other quarterbacks. The Bengals are going to mess him over. It's what they do best. They're going to mess him up, man. Watch. It's what they do best, bro. So let's stop. Let's pump the brakes. Let's join the rest of humanity. Let's act like we got two brain cells, or working brain cells. Let's stop making ridiculous statements. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe, share it with people. I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to get it out there. This is the plain truth. This is, to me, the plain truth. This is not just me being a Cincinnati Bengals fan. This is just the plain truth. Out of all the great quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is in the worst situation of all of them. All of them, man. It cannot be debated. It's plain fact. You can't point at any of the other top 10 quarterbacks and say, oh, wow, their situation is worse than Burrow's. Burrow's got a geriatric owner that's letting his daughters run the team. At one point, I thought his daughters were going to actually do a better job. But apparently, they're just as bad off as their dad was. I think they're just honoring their grandpa's legacy as a football coach and an NFL owner. I really do. It saddens me. So let's stop. God bless y'all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.